Let me start. Good day, colleagues. Thank you for the opportunity to present our research. My name is McGregor, and I co-authored this paper with my colleague Carpenter, who, as mentioned, you may be familiar with. The title of our paper is The Implications, Applications, and Benefits of Emerging Technology in Audit. I'll briefly outline what I'll be covering in the presentation today. I'll first begin with the research questions, followed by the rationale for the study, and thereafter the methodology we used for this paper. I'll then discuss the firm's rationale for implementing emerging technology, and then spend some time discussing the findings of our research, elaborating a bit more on the implications, applications, and key benefits. I'll then provide some concluding remarks, and then end the presentation with the limitations and areas for future research. So our paper dealt with two research questions. The first being, what are the implications and applications of emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, including data analytics, and robotics process automation in the audit process? I just want to provide some context on the terms that we've used, such as artificial intelligence, data analytics, and robotics process automation. Our paper does elaborate on the more technical definitions that are being used, but for the sake of simplicity, I'll just provide a brief overview of what is meant by those definitions to provide some additional context. So when we refer to artificial intelligence or AI, AI allows computers to perform tasks that require human intelligence, such as problem solving, recognition of text, speech and images, reasoning and learning, by equipping the computer with the ability to think like a human and adapt to the environment as necessary. When referring to data analytics, those typically refer to the techniques that are used to analyze big data sets. I will touch on big data a bit later on in the presentation. And then lastly, dealing with robotics process automation, it allows robots to perform tasks by following a set of rules. The second research question that we dealt with was, how have these emerging tech improved the overall audit effectiveness and efficiency? So the rationale for our study is that I looked at the potential for audit process technological innovation, and then how best to shift away from manual processes within the audit space. So ultimately, we were trying to look at the impact that emerging tech would have and the value that would be created. And then Riley and I are both academics from the University of Cape Town with the Chartered Accountants of Africa designation. And we're involved in teaching students who are following that same route to become Chartered Accountants South Africans. So in order to know how to educate future Chartered Accountants, we need to be aware of what they're going to encounter during their 3 years of articles, which is the practical experience that they gain post-tertiary education. So it was very interesting for us to have gone through the study. The methodology that we used for this paper was a directed content analysis, which is qualitative in nature. The primary sources of information was Google Scholar and the UCT databases. As research relating to emerging technology is still gaining prominence, when necessary, online searches for supplementary information were accessed from the websites of reputable sources such as the Big Four audit firms and professional accounting bodies. And then all information that we gathered was evaluated in terms of the research question. So what are the audit firms' rationale? In essence, why should they implement emerging technology? Well, audit firms are pressurized to reduce audit fees, but also at the same time improve audit quality while having to deal with various constraints in the form of limited time and resources at their disposal. And thus, firms have turned to emerging technology as a way to try and alleviate some of those pressures. Then what we'll see is that there may also be some drive from the client side, which may result in firms implementing emerging technology. As more businesses use increasingly sophisticated technology, auditors will need to adopt those technologies so that they can offer assurance services in line with the expectation of their clients, but also to allow them to adequately respond to the risks that are created from that more complex technology. As noted by the International Auditing Assurance Standards Board, or the IAASB, and the Association of Certified Chartered Accountants, or ACCA for short, big data is said to have a substantial impact on the audit industry. When we refer to big data, based on the literature, there was no official definition of what is meant by big data, but most definitions that we found tend to include any combination of three characteristics, namely volume, velocity, and variety of information. Although there's no common understanding of what is considered big for data by today's standards, volume typically refers to the size of the data set, while velocity refers to the data that is created and processed at an exponential rate. Lastly, variety acknowledges that data may consist of financial and non-financial information, such as images and videos derived from numerous sources, such as social media and administrative platforms. ECHA has thus called for audit firms to redesign how they perform their audits by using modern technology. And as you're going to see, there's going to be a greater shift towards automation. And so thus there's going to be a greater emphasis on auditing the machines so that to ensure that those machines operate effectively. So dealing with the audit applications, emerging technology could assist by either automating high volume structured and mundane tasks or providing the auditor with the necessary information needed to perform the task. So this typically relates to three areas within the audit space. So the first being aspects of the audit related to work, processes, and workflows. The second, dealing with aspects of the audit that resulted in recurring judgments that are largely based on information available to the auditor. And the last area being judgments that are very different amongst auditors, causing auditors to either disagree or not arrive at the same conclusions. There were several practical applications that were noted in the literature that have been proposed, including but not limited to the use of drones and inventory counts, and then contract analysis that could be automated. And then another application dealt with algorithms and machine learning to analyze the large data sets in the audit process. So we've just listed some of the applications, but our paper does go on to discuss a few more. So we identified 5 key benefits from our research, and they ultimately help to improve audit effectiveness and efficiency. The first benefit deals with allows auditor to analyze larger data sets. This could lead to potentially a greater level of assurance and audit evidence gathered, resulting in a more credible and effective audit. By testing 100% of the population, auditors are not only able to offer a greater level of assurance, but are also able to address one of the limitations of the current audit process created by sampling and thus improve overall audit quality. The second benefit allows the auditor to improve accuracy, as robots can perform tasks that are repetitive and rules-based more efficiently and with far fewer errors than humans. The ability of computers to understand speech and recognize images have also advanced to the stage where their capabilities are almost as accurate as humans. These automated tasks thus allow the audit to be performed more efficiently, but more importantly, when combined with a review by the auditor, could produce results that are as reliable as manual processes. The third benefit allows the auditor to focus on high-risk areas rather than performing mundane tasks. Technology allows the auditor to spend a greater proportion of their time on the audit, applying their minds to more complex and subjective areas of the audit, as mundane and repetitive tasks can now be automated, freeing up the auditor's time that would have been previously allocated to the performance of those mundane tasks. Another benefit allows the auditor to reduce the time spent on the tasks. By reducing the time spent on the audit task, this results in a decrease in audit costs and thus improves audit efficiency. However, the literature does note that there are some concerns regarding implementing emerging tech for the first time, which could cause some teething issues and thus increase the time spent up front, and could also possibly result in the auditor over-auditing. The last benefit that we identified allows the auditor to improve fraud detection. Fraud detection may also be more effective as data analytics can analyze both financial and non-financial information. For instance, when we're looking at information such as phone calls, emails, and meetings of management, those can be more thoroughly analyzed to identify links or patterns that may be used to detect instances of fraud. So as I noted on the previous slide, there were various benefits that we identified, and that helped to improve effectiveness and efficiency in the audit process. However, those benefits must be weighed up against the threats to the audit industry. And then lastly, there's limited empirical evidence on the effects of emerging technology on the audit process. And we also made no attempt to determine whether the benefits outweigh the threats or vice versa. And then areas of future research, we could potentially empirically test whether incorporating emerging technology results in improved audit efficiency and effectiveness. I'd like to thank you all for listening. Now I invite you to ask me any questions.